Yo, what is up, everybody? Thoresco back again. Another story from the collection titled Words the Most Deathly, Short Stories to Chill You, written by Katie Moore 13. Remember to use the links in the description below. Show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Story number 7, The Pale Man. Autumn and I were 17 when we stopped visiting the graveyard. We grew up in one of those quaint cities that isn't quite small town, but definitely isn't a proper city. It didn't have a lot of entertainment for us, and the only way to get our fixes for the macabre. Yeah, we were those kind of teenagers. We lived for the late night horror screenings at the Town Square Picture Show. We turned in gory flash fictions and so-called dark poetry to our English teacher. We scribbled Evanescence lyrics on bathroom walls and on our Tumblr pages, and generally abused our angst privileges. But our favorite thing to do was just walk around the cemetery, drinking cheap wine from plastic sports bottles, sometimes holding on to each other, and sometimes too occupied with our alcohol to do so. We waxed wise about life, mostly about death, or at least as wise as a couple of tipsy 15-year-olds could be. For a long time, we called ourselves death junkies, thinking it was edgy and cool. Maybe that was why we grew apart after that fateful night. Cemetery, the death junkies thing, was the only thing she and I had that was truly ours, disconnected from the rest of the stupid town. We stopped talking. I started to think about seeing other people, and just before graduation, she finally broke up with me for real. I didn't talk to her, or even think about her after that, till I got the call. I was sitting cross-legged on my bed at home late Friday night, working on an article that was due in 2 hours. I was working as a violence crimes consultant for a local newspaper. In the years following high school, I'd found there could be much more to our small town than I had seen. Much more of the darkness. As far as I knew, no other paper had covered this case yet. A murder that had occurred the day before, where a man was found torn apart at the edge of the forest. On the other side of that forest, if I remembered correctly, was the cemetery where Autumn and I had gone. So, I had already had her on my mind when my phone rang. I didn't really expect it to be her. I just thought, hey, wouldn't it be funny if Autumn were to call me right about now? But when I actually saw her name appear on the caller ID, I couldn't believe it. Hello? Val? Autumn? Why are you calling me? I need to talk to you. You don't have anyone else you could talk to? A friend, or I don't know, a significant other that you've talked to since your teenage years? No, I can't talk to anyone else. Not about this. Alright, fine. What is it? I'm gonna quit my job. After what happened last night? Your job? I knew from a mutual friend that she'd become a mortician. A friend who told me she still used the death junkie label. Look. If it's all that's going on is you quitting your bloody job, why can't you just call someone else? Mallory, shut up and listen to me. Mallory, shut up and listen to me was also what started our fight. The fight that led to our breakup. Well, actually, it was me who started that fight. I never thought of myself as a bitter person, and I can't say I was ever really resentful about her leaving me. I know it was my fault, at least in her mind, with the way I simply refused to listen to her ramblings about the graveyard. Nevertheless, hearing her say it again set me stiff as a board. My first instinct was to snap back at her, but instead, sighed and told her I was listening. Mal? Do you remember the pale man? Oh no, oh hell no. I wasn't going through this crap again with her. Not after 13 goddamn years. Autumn. Look, everyone in town remembers the Pale Man. Our town's biggest urban legend, in case you've forgotten. That's not what I mean, Mal. You know that's not what I mean. Autumn, be serious. We're not kids anymore. You don't still seriously believe that's what we saw that night, do you? You don't still seriously believe it wasn't? Autumn, it was a legend, a campfire story that we laughed about when we got hammered at the old cemetery. We were silent for what felt like 10 minutes, at least. So, where do you live now? Huh? Where do you live now? There was no way I would dissuade her. So, I told her my address and hung up. I couldn't deny I was suddenly uncomfortable. I got up, pulling a half-finished can of hard cider out of the fridge. With every sip, I thought more and more about that night. And the more I thought, the less I wanted to think. Yes, we were 17 at the time. We'd been dating for 2 years, most of our high school careers. And this being the little Bible Belt place it was, looks and whispers were often directed at us. We held hands in the lunchroom. Some were supportive, but more often it was just dumbbell jocks encouraging us to make out. So, we were increasingly relegated to the cemetery when we actually wanted to make out, for our own sake, rather than to get some meathead off. The story of the Pale Man, a tall, sickly-looking humanoid that wandered the cemetery between dusk and dawn, searching for prey that he, it, whatever, would do unspecified terrible things to. Popular theory was he devoured him. Had never bothered us. I didn't believe in it, of course. The whole thing was just ridiculous. But I suspected that Autumn was more open-minded, and maybe she was even a believer. She was an old-school horror fanatic and loved to ramble about demons and hauntings and whatever all else. Sometimes I would humor her, getting up and wandering around, calling out drunkly for the Pale Man to come out, show himself. He never did. Not until... No, I reminded myself, not even then. This is not what happened. Not what we saw. But no matter what I believed, we saw something. It was one of those nights when I did humor her, and also a night when we got extra, especially drunk. So we were walking through tombstones, dodging the one patrolman who always seemed to be there late, cowering like Peter Pan and shrieking, come out, wherever you are," at the top of our lungs. We paused behind one of the large mausoleums, giggling, spilling our drinks all over the grass, and practically throwing ourselves at each other. To be young and infatuated, huh? Autumn's hands were gripping my belt, both to steady herself and to press my body close to hers. She was taller than me, about a head taller, so my face ended up buried in her sweater, right at the shoulder. I didn't see her look up. I only heard her scream. I jerked away, pulling her with me onto the leaf-covered ground. She was shrieking in my ear. "Get up, Mal, get up, run, run, run." I didn't think to question it. I just yanked myself up with a nearby tombstone, sprinted towards the forest. What the hell happened? What's wrong?" She didn't answer me. She just grabbed my hand and pulled me, yanked me so hard I thought my arm would fall from its socket, along with her. I couldn't help myself. I looked behind me. Very, very bad idea. There, perched cat-like on the roof of the mausoleum we'd been hiding behind, was a figure. A pair of red Christmas light eyes glowing from the dark hollow of its face. I couldn't understand how they were glowing. There was nothing but darkness around us. No car headlights or flashlight beams, and only a sliver of moon that the eyes could reflect. It sprang forward, leaping with all its limbs outstretched, unnaturally long, skinny limbs. It flew through the air as fast as we were running, touching down so close behind, I thought I could hear it breathe. Though, that was probably just my shocked and frightened imagination. It felt like an eternity before we reached the cracked asphalt path that led to the old gates we climbed over to get in. Swift footsteps from behind us, thump 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 thump, with seemingly no gaps between them. Autumn clung to my hand so tight that it quickly became numb. Everything burned, from the bottom of my feet, my ankles and calves, to even my lungs. But I kept running. I pulled just ahead of her, and suddenly my heart stopped as I felt her jerked away from me. I screamed Autumn's name, turning around and grabbing her hand. I pulled her from the thing's grip, took off again, so fast I barely got a glimpse of the thing. I could, however, tell that it was a man, undeniably human in form, but the screaming, spitting hiss he gave when I stole my girlfriend from his grip was anything but. We reached the gates, and with no regard for anything but escape, we climbed the craze like crazed spider monkeys. She was screaming nonsensically all the way, and I'm sure I was too. In my kitchen, I shuddered as I remembered the next bit. I felt an iron grip on my ankle, dragging me from the fence. My head snapped to the side, and through my haze, I saw him. He looked like, I can't even describe what he looked like. Wild stringy hair, those awful red eyes, bony joints set in a stretched thin body. His face reminded me vaguely of Nosferatu, with grayish skin and teeth like dirty drug needles. He was just human enough to be human, but just enough not to be, well, not. So I kicked and I kicked like I've never kicked before, and vaulted track and field style over the fence. Hitting the sidewalk hurt like all Hades, but I didn't even care. I just needed to get out. The patrolman pulled up beside us, asking what was wrong. At first, we were too hysterical to tell him, but he let us sit in the back of his car until we calmed down just enough to tell him. We did, and I saw the spectacle look that he gave. He had us take a breathalyzer test, and that was the end of it. We were busted for underage drinking and trespassing. The police did a sweep of the cemetery though, mostly to calm us down, and they found nothing. We went back to school the next week, me with a broken finger and her with a sprained ankle, both of us with traumatized minds. Rumors abounded that Autumn and Mallory had an encounter with the famed Pale Man. Rumors I wouldn't address. Of course, we never went back to the graveyard. I'd like to say I'd lay off drinking too, but that didn't happen. That was where the divide came between me and Autumn. If she wasn't a believer before, then she sure as hell was now, and very vocal about it. But I wasn't so sure. The man I'd seen was definitely human-like, at least, and it made sense that vodka and imagination could fill in the gaps. So, I reached the bottom of my cider as the doorbell rang. I tossed the empty can and walked to the front door, feeling weirdly nervous. Autumn was as good looking as I remembered. Actually, she might even be better looking. Her hair, natural color. I was betting she used to dye it. Definition, strawberry blonde. A teensy bit wavy and shiny, and she still looked amazing in black. Damn. Hello, Autumn. She let herself in, and I offered her a drink. She declined, but asked if I minded if she smoked, which I didn't. Alright, so, what's going on? She stared out my window for several seconds, lighting a cigarette and raising it to her lips. Or beginning. Mal, tell me how the legend of the Pale Man started. I raised my eyebrows. Everyone in this town knew how the legend started. But I continued anyway. It started when some guy's body disappeared from the cemetery. A Johnson or something. After that, a couple of people went missing. Bloodstains were found on Johnson's grave. And then the reports of a human-like figure walking around dark started. And what was the strange thing about the bloodstains? The forensics teams checked up on it. None of the blood was his. It belonged to the guys who went missing. They never confirmed it though. Oh yes they did. I have a good friend who works in forensics. According to him, the police didn't want to fuel any ghost stories, so they kept their findings under wraps. Okay, so what does this have to do with anything, Autumn? Look, if you don't believe in the Pale Man, then what do you think happened that night? Honestly, I think we were both drunk off our faces and scared of a campfire story. I think we were in danger, yes, but the only thing chasing us was a deranged homeless guy or something like that. We imagined the rest of it. Now, will you actually tell me what's happening, please? What's happening is the Pale Man is back. No. Come on, Mal. Get out of my house, Autumn. Mal, please, hear me out. Just, no, Autumn. Not dealing with this anymore. Look, quit your job if you want. Go see a shrink or something. But don't thrust all this on me again. Not after we've been apart for over 10 years. Autumn opened the door, pausing half over the threshold. Look, the two men that were found dead last week, I was assigned to one of them. His body disappeared from the morgue yesterday. Gone. Vanished without a trace. Just poof. Okay, so are you scared of getting fired or something? Why was I still talking to her, I wonder? She shook her head. No. I'm not quitting. I'm not getting out of town either. I was walking home last night after we found him missing, and I saw, well, the exact same thing we saw 13 years ago. Sitting on the same mausoleum roof, wearing the same tattered clothes. He looked at me, same glowing red eyes, and I swear he grinned. I swear, recognized me. Honestly, you need help, Autumn. You need serious psychiatric help. He left after that. By the time I sat back down to finish my article, I was on my third drink of the night, and it wasn't helping. I was shaken. Surely she was talking about the same missing person / murder case that currently occupied my Word docs. But I had been to the scene. There were 2 bodies, yes, but according to my editor, the public would only care about the first. The second was only a footnote. Not hard to see why. One victim was in one piece, more or less, but the other looked like a dead extra from 30 Days of Effing Night. Head separated from neck, massive gashes and chunks of flesh missing, the vomit inducing works. Except for one thing. One very important thing. There was almost no blood. The trees, the sidewalk, all of it was dressed up like a lady in red, but the body itself was dry. I laughed nervously, as if someone would hear it. Come on, Mallory, pull yourself together. It's ridiculous. You're a rational, fact-minded journalist. You're not gonna start believing in vampires because of something your crazy ex told you, right? Psh, ridiculous. And yet, the blood, the gore, stolen body, the Pale Man. I finished my article, feverishly quick and working through a serious buzz, and sent it in just before falling asleep on the couch. I got no rest at all. The next morning, my editor called me in. I wandered in at about 9, so tired I could barely keep my head up. What is it, sir? He held out the printed version of the article. Is there something wrong with it, sir? No, nothing wrong. It's a good article. We'll have it in the local section on Sunday. I'm just wondering what this was, that's all. He pointed to a note that I'd made, several spaces down from the rest of the text. Something I did not remember typing. It said, maybe it wasn't a deranged homeless guy after all. Now, ladies and gentlemen,